first live edition of the 1203 experience. We are live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. What an exciting time. I am your host, Reed Graff. Parker, man, who thought we'd get this far?
We are on TV. People can actually see our ugly faces. Well, I think we look pretty good, but I'm humbled to be here on the big screen. We made it to YouTube, man. We made it to the YouTube. We're Hollywood's pretty much our next stop.
They're knocking on the door. Knocking on the door. I mean, YouTube gets almost, if not more views than like DirecTV and like live television. So we pretty much made it, bro. Like
we've jumped over cable TV. Like that was an easy leap. That was our first leap. But Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, I mean, we're coming after all the giants.
And I gotta say, bro, you look great. You look fantastic, man.
Yeah, I got my hat, I got my thing. Again, I'm going, man. So I'm ready for this, man. Let's jump into it.
And of course, bear with us, everybody tuning in. We are. This is the first time we've ever done something like this, so there are a lot of hurdles. I just realized I did not start recording the podcast on time, so the beginning of the podcast is going to sound a little funky. But that won't happen next week. We're learning as we go, but we are super excited to be live on YouTube. We're doing the 1203 live. Is this something we had talked about doing when we were in college? And like, hey man, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a live show? Well, now we're doing it, and it's wow. I'm so excited about it, man.
Yeah, our live reactions, I think they best suit our style is live, kind of coming at you, quick reactions, over the top analysis. It definitely fits our style. So I'm really excited about this live stuff we're getting into.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Some of the things we're going to be able to do now with the live show, we can bring you video of what we're talking about at the moment via YouTube. We're going to have guests on. You can see those guests instead of just hearing their voices. If you want to leave us questions in the chat, we would love to answer them before we close out the show. We have our first comment already from my brother Patrick Graff saying, "Woo sports." Patrick, I got to correct you. This is not a sports podcast. This is an experience-based podcast. But because we're both sports people, we talk a lot of sports. Patrick, thanks for tuning in, man.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. And I was wondering, so where are you actually, as we're diving into this new creation, are you seeing the comments on YouTube, or how are people commenting onto the show if they want to comment?
So, of course, you can comment. You have to go to our YouTube channel. You can find the link that we posted on our Facebook and Twitters. But the actual YouTube channel is Old Main Entertainment. You can find the live streams there. You can put your comments and chat with us while we're live recording. I want us to be able to communicate with our I don't want to call them fans, but our listeners as they tune into the show. So if you want to leave comments, please head over to our YouTube channel, Old Main Entertainment, and leave those comments there. If you aren't able to catch the show live, every episode is going to be left on our YouTube channel, the entirety of the show. So if you miss an episode of the 1203 and you want to get caught up, you can find it on our YouTube channel, Old Main Entertainment. The podcast will also still be going up on iTunes. It'll still be going up on Spotify, on SoundCloud. So you can get your 1203 fix no matter where you want to get it. This is just another dimension of that show that we have thrown into the mix. And I didn't think it'd get this far, but here we are.
We're sticking to it, buddy. We're sticking to it, and we're riding this bad boy out. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Fan interaction has always been important to me and you as well, because we're not really, we're basically fans. That's what we are. We're not anything special. So the more fans we can get, the more crap talking we can go back and forth. Heck, I'd love to have a debate of a fan wanting to challenge us, live stream challenge. I would take all debates on if they want to post their comments and if they disagree with something. So I'm welcoming all of that stuff. That's going to be fun.
Absolutely. If you think we said something stupid, let us know in the comments. We will definitely respond. And once again, if you want to leave a question for us that we will address at the end of the show, we'll finish every episode with comment answers if we have any. So if there is something you want to hear us talk about, please let us know in the comments. But Parker, as excited as we are about our first live show,
Mhm.
There's one other thing that you have to be more excited about. Parker, you are officially a teacher.
That's right. I have a job. I was like saying, what am I excited about? Do I have a girlfriend? Do I have what do I have? Oh yeah, I have a job. That's good. That's the first step, right? You got to have money. So yeah, I'm excited. I've been, as you guys know, my journey. You listen to the first episode on Old Main Entertainment. You guys can look it up, and I talked about my journey after college, and now I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher now. Finally got the job back in Kerrville. ELA, English Language Arts. Sixth grade. The campus is great. It's just sixth grade, so that's it. And the teachers have been great. The principal has pretty much paved the way. Said she wants to help me. She knows first year teachers have a lot of stress, and it's really tough to jump into. And so she's basically helping me. She said she's going to give me people that'll kind of come by and help me as well with instruction, classroom management, all the challenging stuff that goes with teaching. So I've been really blessed to get back. And Kerrville's my hometown, so I know a lot of coaches there as well. So as you guys know, I love sports. Get into coaching, that would be awesome. And yeah, so I'm really excited about the new opportunity.
You have to be super excited about that. I mean, you just mentioned that you graduated from Kerrville. You played football there. You mentioned you were a team captain your senior year, and I think in our last 1203, you mentioned that one of your goals potentially in your career is to become an athletic director and a football coach. Um, while you obviously went to college to be a broadcaster, a radio guy, it has to feel nice knowing that you're making strides towards a goal that you set for yourself.
Yeah, humans are goal oriented, and I think a lot of times for people they don't feel like they're themselves when they don't have goals, and they just kind of go on about their lives, and there's just nothing to look forward to in the day. I mean, as soon as a couple of challenges with getting out there in the broadcasting world, and I was just like, well, really, what do I really want to do? What do I really do that'll make me feel like I'm gonna feel like I accomplished something. And then of course teaching came, and you have little challenges every day. Every day of teaching, you have a new challenge. You learn something new with the kids and stuff like that, and you learn something about yourself too, how you handle tough situations. So those little goals add up every day, and you kind of have a checklist. You check off goals every day when you're a teacher. So it's kind of cool for a goal-oriented person, and most people are. You have the goals, you have the daily schedule, you have the routine, which I'm a big routine oriented guy.
Mic
I
on,
love my
mic
structure.
off.
I love the Monday through Friday schedule. It gives you having my weekends off. I mean, all those things I like. So it's gonna be it's a fun structure to have, and I still get the sports in on it too. I mean, if I get into coaching, which I want to do, athletic director, um, obviously a lot of money comes with that as well. So there's opportunities for growth, and it's just nice to have the daily goals I can go check off. So goals are important, and I'm glad I've kind of got one big goal checked off, which is my first big boy job. So I'm happy.
You're a big boy now.
I'm a
I
big boy
still
now,
I
baby.
still have to ask you because we talked about this in an earlier show. Are you Coach Parker? Are you Coach Ray? What are you going to roll with? Because you kind of have to make up your mind now.
Well, now I have to make up my mind, and I'm not really going to be. I'm not. I mean, I sound like a jerk, but I'm not going to be the nice guy anymore. I know. As an aide, as an aide and substitute, I was pretty chill, whatever. I still want to show excitement and still be there for the kids, but I'm going to be Coach Ray. I mean, it's going to be legit. It's going to be last name, professional, going in there, setting the tone early, which is my big thing when I got interviewed was relating to they said, well, you're young, so the kids are going to think of you as a friend or so and so. And I said, well, not. Well, I'm going to be the old grouch pretty quick. I can turn that old grouch switch on, and not be too grouchy, but I can have that mindset of, okay, well, now it's time to work. Now it's time to do this. So I think if I keep that in mind, last name is going to work wonders, and just kind of have that respect kind of instilled, and that's going to be a big part of teaching and coaching. It's just you have to have the respect of the kids. If you don't, they're not going to listen to you. You can be a great coach with strategies and stuff like that, but if the kids don't respect you, they're not going to play hard for you. So that's going to be my thing, is instilling that respect early on, and hopefully I kind of build up a resume in Kerrville, and they're like, wow, this guy's been around for so long. He's Coach Ray. You don't want to mess with him. You want to do what he says. So as soon as you get that first impression, those first few years out of the way, then all of a sudden they tell their brothers and sisters, they tell their kids or whoever, and then they end up saying, "Oh, it's Coach Ray. He's been there for a long time. You want to do what he says. He's highly respected." So that's my thing. Is first year gotta start off strong, and then I can get nicer as I get older. But I'm trying to set the tone early.
Oh, Patrick Graff thinks that you should stick with the name Coach Ray, and I do agree. I think that sounds real good, real menacing, real macho. So I think Coach Ray is a winner for me. I'm with you there, Patrick. Um, let's jump in and let's jump into our real topics. And we're both this Old Main Entertainment is obviously named after Old Main, which is one of the biggest buildings at Texas State University. It's the home of the mass communications, among other things, but it's primarily the mass communications building, which is what we all studied, of the majority of us that all graduated together. And a couple of the guys that are, all four of the guys that are currently with Old Man Entertainment are all mass comm guys. We're all Texas State guys, and Texas State hasn't looked too great in the news as of late. Parker, it's been unfortunate, but there has been, it was Jalen Shedd, who was a point guard our sophomore year, I think, sophomore, junior year. I really liked Jalen Shedd. He was a hard nosed player. He wasn't afraid to drive the paint. He was always real quiet. He came out and basically accused Danny Kaspar, the head men's basketball coach there at Texas State, not necessarily of being racist, but being a little racially insensitive and making some very, I guess like sensitive remarks. I guess I don't know how to word this correctly. I mean, politically correct, but
there's an ESPN article on it about Texas State and Danny Kaspar that we can pull back up.
I think Parker froze. We'll let him unfreeze for a second. We are using Zoom to record this, so we'll give him a minute to catch back up. But yeah, of course, the situation. Jalen Shedd came out and said that here was some things said that he did not agree with that came from Danny Kaspar. Alex Peacock, a guy who played just a year ago, agreed with him. Parker, are you back?
Yeah, did you lose me?
Yeah, you froze there for a second there. I think we lost him again. Parker's cutting in and out once he catches up, but it's a bad situation all around. But no one has come out and accused Kaspar of being racist. That's one of the biggest things that I wanna kind of touch on here is they have been very obvious on saying that they don't think Kaspar is a racist, but they think that some of the things he said, he tended to be a little insensitive, and he said some pretty crude things. And I could pull it up, Parker, once you get back and are able to talk again. But it's just an unfortunate situation. You there?
Yeah. Do you see me?
I could see you. I don't know. You were cutting in and out there for a second.
Yeah, I went off. I guess it was my Wi-Fi. It was bad, but I turned it off. So now I'm good now. I think we're good to go. But where did we leave off?
So basically, I was talking about how challenges of a live show, ladies and gentlemen, so stick with us. But I was talking about how I want to make it very clear that in the accusations against Coach Kaspar, he was never fully accused of being a racist. He was just accused of saying some pretty crude things that would be very insulting to people of color.
Yeah, they were insulting, and I was going to say, I think obviously on Twitter and Facebook we have shared those things. I know at Parker Ray 1, PARKER #1 on Twitter, and at Reed T Graff, correct? Your Twitter?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so yeah, we both. I mean, we can repost that article, that ESPN article, that kind of it's a kind of a broad overview of what happened, but it digs into it pretty good. And yeah, basically what it is he had some racially insensitive remarks that kind of talked about I guess where these kids would be working if they didn't graduate, or just talking about their GPAs and and kind of telling them that they're running like thugs or whatever, and really making some remarks. He never actually said the magic word, which is the N word, which is he said he should get to say it because they say it all the time, but he didn't actually say it. So there is that line there of the N word that if he would have said that, it would have been game over. But he didn't quite say it, but he had some racially insensitive stuff. But Alex Peacock and Jalen Shedd even came out later and they wanted to kind of clear up that they don't think he should be fired. They think he should learn from that. And then a lot of his old SFA teammates are his old SFA players, because that's where he coached before, SFA. They came out and they supported him. A lot of players of, black, white players, whatever, they all came out and supported Danny Kaspar. And so far, I've only seen the two players against him, and that's about it. And they did step up and they said that's what he said, and I think that's horrible what he said. You have to change with the times. You can't just keep talking like that in 2020, and just really it's just insensitive to say those things that kind of are stereotypical with a certain race. You can't give in to the stereotypes. So that was the problem, really. He's an old man that kind of gave in to the stereotypes. And as Reed pulls up now, I see that he has the stuff on the page. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you actually look at it line by line as Reed goes through it, of what he said, they're not all the way across the line, but he's really beating on the line. And a lot of players have defended him, but it's still
a lot of players have defended him.
You have to be careful. People are coming for your heads. If you mess up one time, and even if it's a repeat thing or one time, whatever, you just have to be careful with what you say. And it's a very sensitive time, and it's not like we're coaches back in the day. They could say whatever they wanted. I mean, they got away with saying all kinds of terrible stuff to us. I know when you played, you had a lot of stuff said to you when you were playing in Hondo. I'm sure that you would never want to repeat.
Oh, but I'm a redhead. I've heard it all. I don't get me wrong. I don't want to say that redheads hear anything equivalent to what African Americans hear, but exactly. I did get a lot of banters from the coaching staff.
Exactly, and it's just kind of like that. That's what it felt like, though. It didn't feel like it was. It felt more of it was like banter, like picking at you, teasing you, type of thing, and kind of, I guess, his way of motivating you. But the players did play hard for him last season, and I mean, obviously, a lot of players do still respect him. I don't think he's going anywhere. The biggest thing was that Larry Theis and all the Texas State people, they completely ignored it for over 24 hours. It was like 2 or 3 days. I mean, it felt like forever. They ignored the comments. Then they finally addressed it. And Larry Theis was very careful and didn't want to apologize or anything. He just kind of said, we're looking into it, is what he said. So he didn't actually take a dramatic stance on it. He just kind of said, we're looking into it. And he was very just typical Larry Theis. Didn't want to go out on a ledge and do what is right or wrong. He just stayed under the radar, and that's what he does. He disappears. Larry Theis disappears. He's great at disappearing, and he's not exactly a figurehead of an athletic department that you would want. I think a stronger athletic director would have came out immediately. And first off, a stronger athletic director would have had a social media and would have been in tune with what's going on, and probably would have came out immediately with a tweet or something, a statement. But it took him so long, and then when he finally said something, he basically said nothing. They said, oh, we're looking into it. Didn't even apologize or anything. So it's funny. I'm more angry at Larry Theis than I am Danny Kaspar, because you can understand him not wanting to speak up right away. He's probably trying to follow the right protocol. But Larry Theis should have done something stronger in response, and we'll see where it goes. I think Kaspar will be all right. He's still got a few years left on his deal. I think his deal ends 2023. So he's still got a few years left on his contract, and I don't think he did enough to where he deserves to be fired, like a couple of the players have said. But we'll see where this ends up.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I definitely want to touch on, though, is the fact that a lot of players came out to defend him, but most of them came from his former position at Stephen F. Austin. So that's something to touch on. Maybe something has changed since he got to Texas State. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know if this is on a firing basis, but you know that Larry Theis isn't going to do anything about it. We could do a whole episode on the mediocrity of Larry Theis, but I mean, why don't you dive into that more? Do you think this is something worth losing your job over? And you obviously don't want to bring in like the success the team has had in the tenure of him being there, because like this is a completely separate problem from success or failure. But you know, how do you think this is worth a firing? Let's just leave it there. Do you think this is worth being fired?
My initial reaction was, yeah, but I was kind of waiting for more players to back up the story. You know, I know Alex Peacock came out, he supported it, and I'm glad he did. I was really looking for I was really looking for more substance, I guess, and a lot like Sean, our buddy, who main entertainment, he had a very discussion with in the live chat, and he was at first we were all gun ho about it, and I'm in another group chat with some other people who like to overreact a lot and trying to get those guys on the podcast as well and on the network, but they haven't really been answering. But they were all gun ho too. They wanted to fire him right away. They wanted blood. I had one guy who was tweeting out, "Let's already look at coaches." For me, I was looking for that line to be crossed. And while it was insensitive, and yes, it was racially charged in a way, I just don't think it's enough substance to get a man fired, to have him lose his job. I just don't think it's gonna happen that way, and I don't think it should happen that way. I think he should accept what he did is wrong and try to grow from it. But there's probably evidence. I mean, he's probably been goofing around saying these things for a while. We don't know how long it's been going on. And it's surprising that someone just now spoke up about it when he's been a coach there for a while and Twitter's been around for a while. So the fact that Jalen Shedd, a guy who departed from the team, if he's the one who I guess was hurt by the comments, he's the one who lashed out. And then it took him lashing out for Alex Peacock to jump on it. And then I thought maybe, and then maybe the biggest thing is they kind of took it back because in the Kef article, who works for where does Kef work? I can't remember.
Austin Statesman, Austin American Statesman.
Very credible guy. And he basically came out and said both sides of it. He said that they didn't want him to be fired. That's what the players said. The players straight up said they didn't want him to be fired. They wanted him to learn from it, which makes me think maybe they got their feelings hurt a little bit. He wanted to lash out. He jumped on this move. I mean, it's a big movement right now. And right now people are coming out and they're calling things racist that aren't exactly, in my opinion, racist. They're calling a lot of things racist. And now it's just kind of the movement. It's a lot like the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement, yes, it unveiled a lot of horrible people. And this movement is going to unveil a lot of horrible racists. But most people in America, in my opinion, my honest opinion, I could be wrong about this, most people genuinely aren't racist. They may make jokes, but I doubt that Danny Kaspar treats his white players or foreign players or whatever different than his black players or whatever. I really don't think he does that. I think he treats everybody the same. I think he teases everybody the same. And so for me, it's not a racial thing. It's just kind of being an old, out of touch kind of jerk coach, which to me, that doesn't deserve a firing. If anything, he needs to go through some sensitivity training or whatever. But fired, I don't think so.
Yeah, and the biggest shame, this is a program that was really having some of the most success it's had in a long time. They were 25 wins the year before Jalen Shedd left. They've been making some runs at a Sunbelt title the past few years, so it'd be a real shame to see it all come down like this. But at the same time, if it does come down because of something like this, it's understandable because this is beyond successes and failures. This is beyond what is happening on the court. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this situation. As of right now, it's a very fluid situation, it seems like, and I'd imagine we won't hear anything on it for a while because Texas State's going to want this to go by the wayside. But we will see what happens from here, I guess.
And they're pretty good at sweeping it under the rug, which is a big problem I have with the organization. If they came out and confronted it and said, Danny Kaspar apologizes, Larry Theis, I'm the athletic director, I apologize, I'm sorry, those things were said and they were insensitive. If they would have said that, this would have been a big of a problem. But now it's the fact that it took Larry Theis this long to react. ESPN had to pick up the story before he reacted. And that's just a shame. You can't have that happen. You can't have it make national news and then backpedal and try to save your butts. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good in today's climate. You gotta be in touch with what's going on. So that's my biggest problem is the lack of speed in reacting to this and just being so out of touch with what's going on, which has pretty much been Larry Theis's whole whole tenure as athletic director out of touch. I guess we could say that.
Larry Theis out of touch. Sticking with the reacting to our current situation that our country faces, NASCAR has made a big move. NASCAR has decided that they are banning Confederate flags from any NASCAR event. So you show up at the NASCAR with a Confederate flag at a NASCAR event. I don't know if they're just going to make you throw the flag away or if they're not going to let you in at all. I haven't looked into the details, but that is an interesting decision, especially considering that sports demographic. And bear with us. I think Parker is still having a little bit of internet issues over there. The struggles of a live show, of course, but that is a weird call. But at the same time, I get it. You have the two sides of the argument. The Confederate flag doesn't necessarily stand for anything bad unless you make it stand for something bad. But at the same time, there are people out there who them and their ancestors spent their entire lives, seeing that flag in a specific way. So it is understandable why people are offended by that. And I guess it's almost just a cover your bases type decision by NASCAR. Parker, you back? I think still having some internet issues over there in the Houston area for Parker, but we'll jump on that real quick. Of course, that was the decision made by NASCAR to ban Confederate flags. So would love to get y'all's opinion in the chat on the first live episode of the 1203. Having some internet issues, of course, but we're going to battle through it and keep working our way through it. Parker, are you back?
I think so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you again, bud.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this, but we're gonna we'll
power through it.
We'll just have a better Wi-Fi setup soon. I think it's because my computer is using Wi-Fi, and so is this. So I might just have to, honestly, just shut down the computer whenever I get the chance. But for now, I was just talking about the whole Confederate flag thing. Yeah, I think you have to do what. I mean, to me, I never understood what the big deal about the Confederate flag was, why people still had it. I'm a Southern guy. I understand being a redneck and being proud to be in the South. I've been in the South my whole life. I have relatives in Arkansas. I'm pretty sure I had relatives fight in the war on the wrong side. I'm sure I did. I can't apologize. I can't deny my background and history of being in the South and living in the South. But I understand being Southern pride. That's a whole thing. You can make your own flag. Have a Southern pride flag for all I care. But the Confederacy is just tied with slavery. And even if you want to debate, it was about a whole lot of other things, about taxes and whatever. If you want to debate that, don't this is not the place to debate that. Debate that in a political forum. Don't debate that in a social event or NASCAR or anything like that, because that's when people tie it into slavery. That's the number one thing it was about. It was about the economy and slavery. And slavery powered the Southern economy. That was the big thing. It was about that. And so that's what people are going to look at. So if you want to be proud of the South, bring your state flag. I mean, hell, I'd much rather have a Texas flag than any other flag right now. I mean, if I could hang my Texas flag high, I would do that over Confederacy or anything like that. So be proud of your state, be proud of the South. But the Confederacy itself was an enemy of the United States. And even though it was powered by United States citizens, it was a civil war. Still, you gotta side with the U.S. You gotta side with the right decision to not have it, and it's offensive to a lot of minorities and especially people of color and people whose ancestors might have been slaves. So you're just glorifying slavery at that point, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So again, proud of the South. Slavery is bad though. So yeah. I'm all for canceling the Confederate flag.
I think we're all in agreement that slavery is bad. Don't need to make that point. But Parker, Patrick does say he is a salesman for internet services and that kind of stuff. He says he can help you with your Wi-Fi issues. So you should call Patrick up. I think he might be able to help you out.
That's a good plug for Patrick. I actually could use that. I could use some help. I don't know what it is. Too many people in this small. It'll be better once I get my own place in Kerrville. I may have to look for a provider. But yeah, it's right now. It's too many people on one router, and it's a mess right now. But I think we got it going. I think I got it figured out.
We're gonna, no matter what happens, we're gonna power through it. Let's move on to a little bit brighter news. There is some reports that the XFL might be able to make a comeback. Of course, Houston has kept the rights to keep games in Houston should the XFL return. I thought the XFL was putting together a great product. I don't know if they could have, obviously they're not going to be able to compete with college football. They weren't going to be able to compete with the NFL. But to give another avenue of sports, and I think they were getting pretty decent attendance. And Parker, you made it to a game, so you can speak on it a little bit more than I can. But it seemed like they had a pretty good environment over there. What do you think it's going to take to get that league back?
Money, and Vince McMahon doing what Vince McMahon does, which is generating revenue and getting excitement to the league. So I think the fans will be there. Fans love football. Houston fans were really rallying around the Roughnecks. The Roughnecks were undefeated. I think PJ Walker got an NFL job with Carolina Panthers because of how good he performed with the Roughnecks. So it's an avenue for athletes in America where football is biggest. It's not football is one of those sports where you really don't want to go overseas and play football. You don't want to go to Canada to play football. It's just not the same. American football is its own thing, and you want to play in America. You want to have leagues in America, multiple leagues, because this is where we want our guys playing. It's not like baseball where you can go play in another league overseas and still have some pretty good competition. You can go to the NBA, you can go basketball, you can play in basketball leagues overseas. You'll probably still have some pretty good competition. American football ain't nothing like it. I mean, it's that way in America. So I think especially the few areas they had teams, I think they were very popular. The games were a lot of fun. They were more entertaining, more interactive. There was a lot of social media stuff you could do while the game was going on. You could gamble. You could have live gambling while the game was going on. There was apps to do that. I mean, Vince McMahon is really good about getting the fans involved in social media interaction. That's his specialty. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and I hope it comes back. I hope Vince McMahon pulls the trigger. I know people were like, "Well, he did a lot of people dirty because he was bankrupt, and then all of a sudden just went under, and then he kind of gave up on it, and people lost their jobs, and then all of a sudden now he's coming back when things look good." Listen, I never wanted the XFL to end in the first place, but I know they had to follow protocols and all that. But I think it's good bringing it back. See if we can get a lot of those guys back and encourage them and give them another avenue to play the sport they love and compete at a very high level. These guys are pretty good. These guys are college stars. These guys are pretty good college players. I wouldn't say they're college stars, but a lot of them were really good college players, solid college players. They probably played at schools that nobody heard of, like lower level schools that people didn't think, but those guys are still pretty good. Just because they played at schools and they didn't get recognized doesn't mean they're bad players. And there was a lot of former NFL guys that kind of messed up their chance in the league, and now they're back in the NFL. And it also gives them kind of a developmental league for the NFL. You kind of development them in the XFL a little bit, have them play a couple seasons there, and then boom, get them ready for the NFL. So it's a lot of fun. I really liked it, and I think more sports the better. At this point, when we come back from all this crap, I'm gonna want sports all year round to get me through life. So I'm excited.
And I've been watching this little highlight reel that I've got playing. It's such an entertaining league, man. Some of the things that they did production-wise, I mean, of course, they had Pat McAfee on for an episode as their sideline reporter. And while he obviously was not meant to be a sideline reporter, I thought he was really entertaining. But the way they were able to interview at people, and they gave their reporters just unprecedented access that a league has never really given reporters like that before. It was such an entertaining product that they had put together, and I think they honestly might have survived had it not been for the whole coronavirus thing. They were drawing pretty good numbers. Like you said, the games were entertaining. How are the numbers at the game that you made it out to?
Houston filled out Cougar Stadium. They didn't let you sit on the upper level, which is weird because I really feel like they could have filled that up too. For whatever reason, they didn't let you sit on the top. But everywhere around was packed. And Houston Cougar Stadium fills about 55,000 or something like that. So it's a nice stadium. It's pretty big. And they packed. I mean, the lower level was packed. There was nowhere you could go. People were hooting and hollering. And yeah, the home field advantage was pretty strong. I mean, the Roughneck Nation, a lot of those old school, you had a lot of the people who used to work, who worked in the plants, who were really proud of that kind of roughneck plant, kind of that working at the plant, working at the oil fields, coming home after a long day's work, and going to watch football. You had kind of that Oiler fan base, that old school 1990s, 1980s Oilers. You brought a lot of those fans back who didn't exactly like the Texans. They didn't think, oh no, the Oilers were always our team. We're going to die with them. There's still a lot of that in Houston that love the Oilers so much. I mean, it was such a powerful thing having the Oilers and them representing kind of the oil field industry and all that. So when they brought that back with the Roughnecks, did kind of the same thing with the logo, and it's kind of who they were. It really embraced the Houston area, kind of the people, type of people they are, which is the oil field people. So it was cool. It was a lot of blue collar people there, a lot cheaper tickets, so the fans were a lot rowdier. You go to the Texans games, you have to pay a lot of money for tickets, and so you get those kind of high dollar, those fancy people. And the Roughnecks weren't anything like that. The tickets were cheap. The people were there. They were packed. They were tailgating like a college game. It felt like a college game, honestly, but it was just a fun atmosphere. So I really did enjoy it. I mean, there was beach balls flying. There was all kinds of crap flying around during the game. People were just having fun. So I hope it comes back, and I hope I get to make it to another game.
It almost sounds like a minor league baseball experience in football
I
form.
would.
Like that's what it
I would.
sounds like.
Yeah, it's a lot like that. I think you would. I think that's a good comparison. Yeah.
So that's one sport that might come back. Another one we're hearing rumors that might be coming back. Of course, UFC has been back. NBA is pretty much on the way back. I saw that MLS is going to be coming back in early July. So sports is going to be back here pretty quick, and that's got to be exciting for all of us sports fans. I'm not even a soccer fan that much, but I might watch a couple MLS games just to get my sports fix. But that's exciting. One sport that still is struggling to come back though is baseball. They refuse to come to any kind of agreement. There was some progress made this week, so that's promising. I believe the MLB owners, just like the owners, proposed a 76 game schedule where the players would take 75% of their contract because they're playing like obviously 3/4 of the season, and then the players rejected that. And the players came back with 89 game schedule, full pay. And I don't think we've heard the response on that proposal yet. But Parker, we've talked about this probably in the past 3 podcasts. It seems like it's getting a little more likely, but it still feels about a mile away from happening. How realistic do you think it is that we get baseball back this year?
It's getting more and more hopeless because you have a side that doesn't want to budge at all. And then you have a side that's trying to budge, trying to understand things. But I don't think people. I think people want to see numbers, is what I think. I think the MLB players, they want to see numbers from the owners. Okay, you're losing money. Well, show us how much money you're losing proportionally. We don't want to get screwed. If we're losing this much of our pay, then how? I hope to God you're losing that much of your pay. I hope you're losing up the same percentages we're losing. If you want us to take pay cuts, that's fine, but at least prove it to us that you're losing that money that you say you are. The owners haven't showed any numbers to the players. I think that's what they want. They want numbers. They want to see the evidence of, okay, you're asking us to take pay cuts. You're asking us not to play as many games. Well, show me that you're not. Show us where you're losing money. Show us where things are happening. I know the owners are losing money and they're upset about it, but show us that they are losing that much money they say they are. Put the numbers on the table and let's negotiate from there. Because if you show the numbers and you're transparent, because here's the thing is nobody trusts the owners. Nobody trusts them. The fans don't trust them, I don't think, and the players definitely don't trust them. So you got to be transparent. You got to show them the numbers. Invite players in to the front office and see. Invite a few. You can't invite all the players in, but invite a few of your top level players from each team. Invite them into the front office. Negotiate with them. Talk to them about the numbers. Talk to them to the business side of it. Get them in on the business side of it. Let them know how everything works and how much money you're actually losing due to Corona and all this stuff, and show them why budget cuts are necessary. If they can convince the players through numbers and facts, then maybe the players would be more likely to join in on it. But right now, the owners are just saying, trust us, trust us. We need you to take a pay cut. We're going to tell you how much you need to take a pay cut on. We're going to tell you how much you should make based on our what we see. We're not going to let you see what we see, but we're going to tell you what we see, and we're going to pass it down, and we're going to say this is what you need to make. Even though I think the owners are still financially, if you look at them, I don't think they're hurting as bad as they say they are. So maybe show the numbers, see what comes out, and let's be transparent. I think that's what the players want. They want honesty. And right now, the owners are about as shady as it gets. So I'm trying to figure out if they need to be more like the NBA and be transparent. And the NFL is getting there too. But right now, the MLB owners are taking a major hit because they're just not being honest with the fans and the players. And people want baseball back. People, it's America's pastime. People want it. People have been laid off of their jobs. And right now, all they see is millionaires and billionaires fighting. Well, that's like for the common man, a guy who makes in the thousands. That kind of pisses you off, when you see guys like that fighting. So they need to get something done.
And I think the biggest separation on the issue is that the players want to play games. They don't want to play 50 games. They don't want to play 60 games. They want to get as close to a regular season as they can. And while obviously that's probably not going to be possible, right, because of the situation, that's what they want, and they want to get paid what they were supposed to get paid. I think they're willing to take the pay cut as far as like games played, but it's the extra that the owners are asking. I mean, they were like, the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way is the owners were asking minor leaguers to take like $100 off. Like, so instead of taking like the $400 stipend, which is already less than they're supposed to get, they're getting the $400 stipend. Well, they were like, well, we're only going to give you $300. And it's like, why do you need to take that little 100 from the minor leaguers? That's such a minuscule detail in this situation. You have the money to cover that difference. So why is this what we're getting hung up on? It sounds from like the reporters, and the numbers seem to be getting closer and closer, but it still feels like we're a mile away from making any progress towards playing in 2020. I honestly still think it's going to happen. As much as I don't like him, Trevor Bauer went on the Pat McAfee show and said he was 95 to 100% sure that it was going to happen, that there was going to be baseball. He's a pretty vocal voice in the sport of baseball. He's a pretty, doesn't really shoot you sideways type guy. So I have to kind of believe what he says there, that there is going to be baseball, but it sure doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I have to believe, I'm kind of have to be a see it to believe it guy now because of this year, 2020, right? How many things were supposed to happen that didn't happen? Or we thought they were going to happen a certain way and it completely, Godzilla came in and crushed all our hopes and dreams or something. I mean, I think right now in the Houston area, we're getting ready for hurricane season. So we got some hurricanes in the Gulf Coast. So we might get wiped out by that. So, yeah, there's just whole kinds of crap going down in 2020. So I have to see it to believe it. And I think the owners, because financially the owners aren't struggling as much as they're letting on because they have other businesses. They have other things going on. They may be struggling, but they're not struggling as much as the players would struggle if they don't play at all. So they're going to have to the players may have to make it a little uncomfortable like they already have been doing. And the owners are just going to have to shape up and be like, all right, we agree. They're going to have to get something done quick or else they're going to lose out on a whole season. And nobody's going to be happy. And the MLB may never recover as far as fans and dedication to the game because if they miss out the whole year, a lot of people are going to look back and say, man, this league is just stupid. They wasted a whole year. All the other leagues came back. They found out a way to still be profitable and keep the machine going. If the machine shuts down forever, I mean, all the farm systems from top bottom, if they all shut down and this year's just a complete wash, that'd be such a negative thing for the MLB and baseball and the sport itself. I mean, that would be pretty bad. So the owners have to look at the whole picture and not just their wallet and do what's right for the MLB. So I think hopefully they can do it, but selfishness and greed and all that stuff that comes with it, I don't know, man. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm pretty unlikely we get it anytime soon. Even if they do come back, it's going to be a few months before they can get everybody. I mean, we saw with the NBA, they announced they were coming back. and they won't start playing until July 31st. So whenever baseball makes their announcement that they're actually coming back, it probably won't be till August or September. So it's still going to be a while. So it's still going to suck for us no matter what at this point. I mean, we're having to wait this long. The season's almost completely washed up and over. So it's just a sad time.
I will say, I know that teams like the Astros and some other teams are already doing like their own spring trainings at the stadium. So maybe those players are already getting ready so that when this contract, when they finally come to an agreement, we can get baseball started and we can start playing games.
So the NBA had their facilities open too, but they're still taking this whole, they had their facilities open, but they were still taking this whole time to get back. So I'm hoping you're right. Hoping they can just jump back into it in a couple weeks. But I feel like it's going to take at least a month after the announcement, or probably longer. But that's just my negative view on it.
Can you imagine if MLB comes to an agreement and they get started in early July, and I mean in late July, early August? So then you have NBA, MLB, high school football, you have NFL preseason, everything, college football, all starting at this exact same time. We'd go through this such a terrible hiatus for the sports world to this time where you have all these different sports all happening at the same time. You can never get away from sports. That would be a really interesting time if we can get that far, but I guess only time will tell if we get to that point.
I'm all for that point. I'm hoping that's a good time to be. If you can't get away from sports, that sounds wonderful. That's basically a dream for us. So
that sounds a whole lot better than what we're dealing with right now. That's going to do it for the first live edition of the 1203. I can't believe we pulled it off, Parker.
We had a couple technical difficulties with me, and we had I think maybe Patrick stayed with us the whole time. It says 3 people are watching right now. I guess it was Patrick that stayed with us the whole show. But thank you, Patrick, for commenting and staying with us. And next episode will be better. I hope I sound good on the phone. I'm going to go back and watch it. I know I had some hiccups with the Wi-Fi, but I think I can get around it next time. So, yeah, I'm ready. This is fun. I'll see you guys later.
Only one way this show can go, and that is up. Next week at 5 p.m., make sure to tune in into Old Main Entertainment for the next live edition of the 1203. We will see y'all next week.